caregivers, people who are interested, for all of us here to be together, to share information, to share some support for each other, and to basically be a community, and to have this community grow. And we would really like to increase awareness about neuropathy in the Central Texas area. And so we have a number of things that we're doing with that. We're very excited that we have selected a name, Hands, Feet, and Heart, Neuropathy Support for Central Texans. And we have secured a domain name, handsfeetheart.org. And we have a gentleman, Jeff Morgan, who is developing our website right now. And so on that website, we'll be able to put a lot of resources for you to go to, and we're really excited about that. Also, we have a wonderful graphic artist in our midst, and Francis Betts has agreed to work with us and create a logo and some of our media related needs. And so Francis is here. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm still not
I know, we're working on it.
ready to present. But,
I know. So we're really excited. And the first meeting we had, we did go around the room and people shared their interests and things that they did. And so, you know, I'm hoping that everybody here has some way to contribute to the group based on your particular skills and gifts. And so we're really happy about that. We also Marjorie and I met yesterday with an attorney, CPA, who is going to be helping us create our 501c3 charitable organization, which will enable us to accept donations, to be able to really get broader out in the community. And he's doing that at a very, very discounted rate. He himself had a daughter who was diagnosed about 10 years ago with an autonomic disorder. And so he very much understood what we all have gone through in terms of being diagnosed with something that's unusual. And so he's very sympathetic and he's helping us out. Also, December 2nd through the 5th, Peter and I are going to be traveling to Washington and going to the Neuropathy Summit. And we're going to be collecting information for this group, and hopefully we'll be able to get information from the physician side. And I'm going to talk to Sarah, see if you know anybody who's attending. There's 2 days for the physician group and then 2 days for the patient group. And so we're going to get as much information as we can. Unfortunately, they're not videotaping or audio taping any of their presentations. So I'm going to figure out other ways to get their material so that we can bring that back to you. But it's the first time that they've met, and I've also asked them if any other support group representatives will be there, see if we can get together. We'll see what we can do. So that's really exciting too. And is there anything else I forgot, Marjorie? Okay. So we're really excited today to have with us a guest speaker. And this is Sarah Austin, who is a board-certified neurologist, and she's practicing here in Austin. And she got her medical degree in 1985 from the University of Texas, medical branch at Galveston. And she also did residency training in neurology at the University of Southern California. So she was in Texas, then she was in California. And then also internal medicine at the University of Utah. So she lived in Utah too. And she completed her fellowship in EMG and neuromuscular disease from the University of Texas in Houston. And she focuses her practice on EMG and the diagnosis and treatment of disorders of nerve and muscle. So she's perfect for us to speak to us today. She also has an interest in public policy and advocacy, and she did a fellowship with the U.S. Senate. We're working with the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee in Washington, D.C. And she is a published author with articles in peer-reviewed journals and also a chapter in a book. And probably her most challenging thing is that she's a parent of 3 teenagers. And an 8th grade boy.
We're so sorry.
And outside of medicine, she enjoys participating with her church and also being on Lake Austin. So please help me welcome Sarah Austin. Dr. Sarah.
See if I can pull this up. I'm not.
And there's Lake Austin right there.
I know.
Okay.
So thanks very much for Nancy to putting this all together. It's been a lot of work, and it's really great to have somebody organize all of this. I am going to talk about peripheral neuropathy. What is this and what can I do about it? I am a neurologist by training. I did an extra year fellowship in EMG and neuromuscular disease. So neuromuscular disease to a neurologist means that we deal with nerves and muscles as opposed to the central nervous system. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And I mostly do the testing that makes a diagnosis, which is the EMG testing. I've been in Austin since '95, 15 years. Before that, I was at the University of Texas Health Science Center in Houston. Stayed there for 4 years and was on faculty there doing mostly neuromuscular stuff. I like to hang out with the neuromuscular docs. There's a group in Dallas, there's a group in Houston, and a big group in San Antonio. And they get together at least once a year. We meet in Dallas and talk about neuromuscular disease. And then also when the national meeting meets, there's a whole big group of neuromuscular doctors that kind of stick together, neurologists. This is a talk about peripheral neuropathy, and this is and I am not very computer literate, I apologize for this. So when I blew up the picture off Google Images, it wasn't quite as clear, but her name is Harriet. And like seriously, this is a dissection. It's the only complete peripheral nerve dissection that was ever done. It was done by a guy named Rufus something. He was a full professor at Hahnemann University in Pennsylvania, and Harriet is still in Pennsylvania. Harriet apparently was a scrub woman for this university, and she worked in the anatomy lab. She worked with this professor, and she said, when I died, I would like to donate my body. And so she did, and he did this dissection for about 5 months. And he found every single peripheral nerve and isolated it and kept it moistened and painted it and shellacked it and pinned it. If you see it, it's a three-dimensional kind of thing. And anyway, it's probably the best example we've got of what the peripheral nerves are. And the reason I bring this up is because the word peripheral neuropathy, some people wonder what it means or where it came from. So peripheral to a neurologist means not central. So the central nervous system is the brain and spinal cord. So brain and spinal cord is considered central nervous system, and then all the nerves coming out would be the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nerves actually have a different type of wrapping. The myelin or the peripheral nerve is different than a central nerve, and that's the reason that some people get peripheral nerve problems as opposed to central nerve problems. Because in the central nervous system, the nerves that wrap the myelin are called oligodendrocytes. And in the peripheral nervous system, they're called Schwann cells, so they're different and they work differently. So in my terms, neuro means nerve, and PATHY means sickness in medical terms. So peripheral means arms and legs, and neuropathy means sickness in the nerves. This one is also not quite so clear, so don't worry that your glasses are bad. But it's just a schematic diagram. This is the nerve cell body. This is the axon, or the big long tail, that goes down to the muscle. And this would be a motor neuron, a motor cell. So the nerve cell body sits up in the spinal cord. And the spinal cord, if we go back, we can't. The spinal cord actually ends here, and it actually ends about here. It ends about your waist. And then everything down here are nerve roots, so they're considered peripheral nerves. So everything below your waist pretty much is a nerve root. And so some of these nerve cell bodies are really, these axons are really long. The nerve cell body sits up in your spinal cord around your waist, and then it's got this big long tail called the axon that goes all the way down to your feet, or to your fingers. And this is a motor nerve cell, so it carries the impulses from the brain down to the muscle. There's also sensory nerves that carry the impulses from the sensory organelles that are in your skin and carry it back up to your spinal cord. They also are very long too, so they've got this big long tail in this axon. And around the axon is wrapped insulation, which is it's like the rubber around a wire. So the axon itself is like the wire, and then the insulation would be like the rubber that surrounds most of the cords. You know, if you look at any cord, it's got insulation around it like this. What else? The thing about this insulation is it's one single Schwann cell, and it wraps itself around the axon. And so this is one Schwann cell, and then you've got this little node that's kind of myelin free, and then another axon, another Schwann cell right here with the myelin wrapped around it. So the nerves always look kind of like sausages if you see them. And it's because this is one Schwann cell, this is another one.